What if the reason self-improvement isn't working for you is because you've quietly turned it into self-rejection? Think about that for a second. You wake up, you open your phone, and within 5 minutes you've been told to wake up earlier, eat cleaner, think more positively, be more disciplined, read more, scroll less, meditate, journal, cold plunge, and somehow still find time to be present. And somewhere in the middle of all that noise, you stopped trying to grow and started trying to fix yourself. Like you were broken. Like you were the problem. You're not the problem. But the approach might be. Here's what modern self-improvement culture doesn't tell you. When growth becomes a way to punish yourself for not being enough, it stops being growth. It becomes a performance. You're not becoming better, you're just getting better at feeling guilty. We compare ourselves to curated highlight reels. We track productivity like it's the measure of our worth. We read about becoming our best selves while quietly believing our current self is something to be ashamed of. And then we wonder why nothing sticks. Real growth isn't punishment. It's practice. There's a difference, and that difference changes everything. So today, let's talk about 5 shifts in thinking that actually move you forward. Not tips. Not hacks. Shifts. Because what needs to change isn't your routine. It's your relationship with yourself. Shift 1, replace judgment with curiosity. You snap at someone you love. Maybe it's a sibling, a friend, your partner. And the moment the words leave your mouth, the internal commentary starts, why do I always do this? What's wrong with me? That voice isn't helping you. It's just loud. Psychologists call this self-criticism loop rumination, and research consistently shows it doesn't lead to change, it leads to shame. And shame makes us want to hide, not grow. But curiosity is different. Instead of what's wrong with me, you ask, what was going on for me in that moment? Were you tired? Overwhelmed? Feeling unheard? That question doesn't excuse the behavior. It explains it, and explanation is where actual change begins. Practical takeaway: the next time you react in a way you don't like, give yourself 10 minutes before the judgment starts. Just ask, what was I feeling right before that? You might be surprised by what you find. Shift 2, being wrong is evidence of growth, not proof of failure. There's a quiet belief many of us carry, that admitting we were wrong means we're a bad person. So instead of acknowledging it, we defend. We deflect. We explain until the other person just gives up. But here's the psychology behind it: this is called ego threat response. When our sense of identity feels attacked, our brain treats it like a physical danger. We go into protection mode. It's not weakness. It's wiring. The problem is that wiring was designed for survival, not for relationships. A person who can say I was wrong about that isn't weak. They're operating from what psychologist Carol Dweck calls a growth mindset, the belief that what you think and do isn't permanently fixed. It can change. You can change. And owning a mistake is the first step in actually doing something about it. Practical takeaway this week: find one moment where you can say, I think I got that wrong, to someone else, or even just to yourself. Notice how it feels. It's uncomfortable at first. But it's also quietly freeing. Shift 3, apologize to repair, not to escape guilt. Most of us were never taught how to apologize. We were taught to say sorry so the tension would stop. So the other person would feel better. So we could move on. But an apology that's really just about ending your own discomfort? The other person can feel that. And it doesn't actually repair anything. A genuine apology names what happened, acknowledges the impact, and doesn't immediately follow with a but. It sounds less like I'm sorry you felt that way and more like I understand why that hurt you, and I shouldn't have said it. This is emotional regulation in action, managing your own discomfort enough to actually show up for someone else's pain. Practical takeaway: before your next apology, ask yourself, am I saying this to relieve my guilt, or to genuinely reconnect? The answer shapes everything that comes after. Shift 4, speak to yourself the way you'd speak to someone you love. Imagine your closest friend comes to you and says, I completely forgot about an important commitment today. I feel awful. What do you say? Probably something kind. Something human. Something that acknowledges they're doing their best. Now, what do you say to yourself when you forget something? If the answer involves words you'd never say to someone you care about, that's worth noticing. Self-compassion researcher Kristin Neff has spent decades showing that people who treat themselves with kindness after failures are actually more motivated to improve, not less. Self-criticism doesn't make us try harder. It makes us give up. A practical takeaway: when you catch your inner critic mid-sentence, pause and ask, would I say this to someone I love? If the answer is no, try rephrasing it. Not to excuse yourself. Just to be fair to yourself. Shift 5. Integrity is what you do when nobody's watching. We often think of becoming a better person as something visible. Something people notice. But some of the most meaningful growth happens in completely private moments: the comment you chose not to leave, the truth you told even though lying was easier, the moment you chose patience over reaction when no one was there to give you credit for it. Identity-based change, a concept psychologist James Clear writes about, works like this: every small private action is a vote for the kind of person you want to be. Not a grand transformation. Just a quiet, consistent choice. Practical takeaway: choose one small private action today that reflects who you want to become. Not for anyone else. Just because it's who you're deciding to be. Here's the part nobody says out loud: you will still lose your patience. You'll still have days where you fall back into old patterns, where you say the thing you promised yourself you wouldn't say, where you close the night wondering if you're actually changing at all. That's not failure. That's being human. The goal was never perfection. The goal is that over time, you catch yourself a little sooner. You apologize a little more genuinely. You listen a little more than you defend. That's it. That's growth. You are not a project waiting to be completed. You are a person who is learning. And learning, real learning, doesn't look like mastery. It looks like showing up again, even after the days that didn't go the way you hoped. So here's the question I want to leave you with, and I genuinely love to read your answer in the comments. If you stopped trying to fix yourself for just one day, how would you choose to show up instead? If this kind of honest, compassionate look at how we think and grow is what you've been looking for, subscribe. That's exactly what this channel is about: understanding ourselves better, not judging ourselves harder.